Welcome to NewLifeCast episode 9.
Who knows?
I think it's 9. Anyways,
Lost track.
Today we will be interviewing Michelle Hagerman, following up from Brian Hagerman's episode a few weeks ago, which I've heard multiple people say that was one of their favorite episodes we've done.
I have heard that as
Interesting.
well.
Uh-huh.
People have been very encouraged.
I think
He's a cool guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is a pretty cool guy. But excited to learn more about you, Michelle. I've known you for like almost my entire life.
Since you were like 5.
I mean, not like my entire life, but most of my life. And I still feel like I don't know that much about you, really. I've interacted with you a lot. So I
Yeah.
feel like I have a good feel for like who you are as a person, but not really like I don't know very many things about you.
Well, that's okay, because adult Joe is way different than 5-year-old Joe. So I don't feel like I know that much about you.
Well, have you listened to any of the podcast episodes?
I have listened to every podcast.
Oh, you listen to
wow.
You're one of our loyal listeners.
I am.
Wow, we keep
It
having
takes
our
me
loyal
like
listeners.
3 days to get through a podcast.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
4,
that's fine.
But
How do you listen to it? Do you listen to it while
usually
you're doing
when I'm
other
getting
things?
ready in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's just you're getting ready in the morning
Yeah.
podcast. Does it hype you up?
I don't know if it hypes me up, but it's fun.
What does
Okay.
it make you feel? Okay, fun.
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna say,
fun.
what does it make you feel?
I am enjoying hearing things about people that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yours was fascinating.
Oh,
Civil
yeah.
War, fleeing the country is amazing.
Thanks.
I feel like we still need to do a follow-up episode on
For
you.
what?
On you.
What am I doing now?
No, not necessarily what you're doing now. There's just I'm sure there's more stories to
Well,
air out.
yeah,
let
like
everyone
I
know.
came to America, I married a white guy.
Yeah.
I got my citizenship through the white guy. Worked out for me. That's what we'll do.
Did you vote too?
I did vote.
Is this your first
Presidential, yeah.
first presidential
Good for
election?
you.
Yeah, I voted.
Wow.
Good for
You're
you.
a real American now.
I'm so American.
You're more American than most people I know, so. Anyways, Michelle, we always like to start with the same question for everybody.
Yes.
And as a loyal listener, you would know. What is your favorite color, and what does that say about you as a person?
Oh gosh. Well, your dad thinks it's gray. And he's wrong. That's a really hard question for me to answer because it changes all the time.
Is there like a range of colors? Like Elena would say she likes softer, more muted colors.
If you look at my house, you'd think my favorite color was blue.
Okay.
If you look at my wardrobe, you might think my favorite color is black. It's hard to say. I like pink. I like blue. I like green. I like a lot of colors.
Well, you're wearing a green jacket right
I
now.
am wearing a green jacket.
And you chose the green color on these walls, didn't you? Or was that?
I did.
Yeah.
I
so
did.
I think it's got to be green then.
I'm in kind of a green phase right now.
Okay.
It's occupational hazard.
I feel like a lot of people are in a green phase right now. Like I'm very attracted to green right now too.
It was hot there for a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the accent walls in everybody's bedroom was green. I remember that from like a couple or 3 years ago or something.
Is it because
Yeah,
of all
mine's
the
navy.
alien stuff?
I don't know. Maybe
Green men.
green man.
No, every year people sit around. This is what you learn in college.
Okay.
When you study what I studied, somebody sits around somewhere and decides what's going to be the hot color for the next year.
And then we all just accept
And
it
we
and
all
believe
just
it.
go along like sheep.
That's
Yep.
crazy. Isn't it red this year? It's like
This year it's like burgundy.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Don't they like sell more paint somehow that way? Yeah.
Got it.
Well, and the crazy thing is, I'm like, wow, I really love this color.
But it's like the same in interior design and fashion. Like they kind of go together.
Wow. So it's fast fashion affected interior. Like, you know how people are getting like cheap clothes and just cycling through like styles and trends and stuff is happening with
I
interior
think
design.
so. Because you can get cheap furniture. I mean, you can order Wayfair.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
true. And like getting stuff from Amazon and
Yeah.
stuff. Not to look down on Amazon or Wayfair.
No. I order from Amazon all the time.
Yes, I do too. Okay.
Sponsored by Amazon.
There you go.
Anyways,
No
but back to the question. What does it say about you as a
But
person?
I'm very non-committal.
You're non-committal.
I don't like to be pigeonholed, I guess.
Okay. Or you just are a very colorful person. You like lots
You
of
could
colors.
say that, yeah.
I would say, yeah. I wouldn't say your personality is one that's colorful. I feel like it's one that's like controlled and calm and consistent.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Like that green you're wearing.
Calm and consistent.
Very consistent. Just, I'm here. I'm encouraging. Yeah. Like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you agree?
I don't know.
She's non-committal.
Oh, right.
That's me.
Well, that's great. What is your earliest memory as a child? We'll dive into the biographical portion.
My earliest memory was I was 4 years old, and I was in my front yard, and somebody was driving by, and they stopped, and they said, "Why aren't you in school?" And I said, "'Cause I'm only 4." That's it.
Awesome. Why do you think that memory stuck with you?
I have no idea. I just have never forgotten it. It's just always been right there.
Did you
Probably
feel
so
like
random.
judged by this person, or you just
don't
thought
know.
it was funny, or
I have no idea.
okay?
You're gonna find I'm not that deep.
Probably was very bizarre.
Well, it was a little weird that this person was driving by and
and
asked
a
me, like,
stranger.
I think so.
Yeah, that's weird.
They
I
were
can't
probably
see the
trying to
car. I
abduct
can only
you.
hear the voice.
Yeah, they were probably trying to abduct you,
Probably.
but you survived.
But you
I
have
did.
good answers.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't take you.
What was it like growing up in your household?
My youngest years, I was a very happy child. I had fun. It was good. Then my parents got divorced and it wasn't so great.
Yeah.
But it was good till then.
At what age did they get divorced?
I was, by the time it was all said and done, I was in 7th grade, but it was like a 2 to 3 year period of yuckiness before that.
And in that early period where you were happy, what did you really? Not saying,
I was miserable after that. No.
not saying that you weren't ever happy after.
Right. But before everything fell apart.
Yes. What do you remember really enjoying as a kid?
It's funny. I loved Barbies. Oh my gosh, I played with Barbies all the time. But I also put on shows, which came back to bite me once my daughter was born. Because then I loved and endured some shows, long shows. But yeah, I liked Barbies were my thing though. I was very into Barbies.
Did they have the Barbie shows that like
No.
Barbie Mermaidia and like that was my whole childhood.
No, I just had the Barbies and like all my Barbies were at my friend's house.
Why?
And she had the dream house.
Oh.
And we set up a whole like town in her basement.
Yes.
And I would just leave the Barbies there because I'd go there every day after school.
Yeah.
And we'd play Barbies.
Barbie is amazing. I love Barbie still. So did you watch the Barbie movie then?
I did. I did not like it as much as I had hoped.
I hoped for better as well.
Yeah, Allie and I watched that last spring and she loved it. But I mean, it was spot on. But at the same time, it was kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that was off topic.
That's all right.
No, it was on topic.
Okay.
The topic was Barbie. I won't ask you why you loved Barbie because there's probably not really a deep answer there.
No. It was just fun to play with Barbies.
Yeah.
And change their clothes.
Though that is interesting because I think we'll find that's connected to some things later on because
Probably.
you something drew you towards interior design and there might be a thread there.
And
We'll
it was
see.
Barbie
Maybe.
Dreamhouse.
It might have been Barbie Dreamhouse.
I wanted to improve it.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what was it like being a kid and having your parents be divorced or getting divorced? What was that experience like for you?
Interesting. I was in fact, I'm still kind of this way, but I was the kid that I didn't want to be a problem. So I just kind of internalized it, tried to behave as good as I could. So I didn't make any waves for anybody because clearly my parents were unhappy. Obviously, later on in my later years, that came out in different ways, the stuffing of it. In not so healthy ways. But yeah, it was rough. I mean, it's back then, I mean, my best friend, her parents were divorced long before my parents were. So it wasn't like I didn't know anybody who had divorced parents or anything like that. But it still wasn't as common, obviously, as it is these days. And plus, we were Christians.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird. So it was unpleasant.
I guess I forgot to ask. Did you have any? Do you have any siblings?
I was about to ask that too.
I have a brother.
Okay, you have a brother.
Yeah, I have an older brother.
An older. Okay, actually, no. I should have known that.
His name is John.
Real tall guy.
Yes, he's very tall.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say very tall. He's over 6 foot, but he's not like a giant or anything.
Was there a lot of camaraderie between you guys, like trying to go through that together and stick by each other and support each other?
No.
Oh, okay.
We were close as kids, but we're not close now. And I would say we were in high school at the same time, but we didn't like hang out. We were in band together, and that was it. He had his circle, I had my circle. And
What's the age difference?
2.5 years.
So you mentioned that you at least consider yourself, a Christian household as a kid. So did you grow up going to church regularly?
Yeah. So I grew up, my dad's side of the family is a long line of believers. And my mom's is a shorter line. It started with my great grandpa. And then her dad was actually a preacher for a long time. And so, yeah, I mean, that was the culture, was we were Baptists. So.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I forgot now.
Okay. And I guess as a kid, what was your relationship to Christianity, to God?
Oh, it's weird. I was all in as a kid, and I, prayed and asked Jesus into my heart, 50 times when I was 5. And then I got baptized when I was 10 because my parents sat me down at the kitchen table and said, well, it's about time you get baptized. So I got baptized. But as I said, when I got into high school, people ask me, like, when did you get saved? It's a hard question to answer. Yeah. And I think that is that case for a lot of kids who actually grow up in the church.
Yeah.
But when I was in high school, I was definitely not. Like, the whole time I still believed. It was like I had 1 foot over here and 1 foot over here. So yeah, I did a lot of crazy things in high school, but in the back of my mind, it was always, well, I'll come back to Jesus after I've had my fun.
Do you feel like that crazy stuff in high school? Do you feel like that was, I don't know? You mentioned like stuffing all those emotions from your parents' divorce kind of came out later. Do you feel like that's kind of what was happening?
Oh, definitely.
There? So was it like you were being rebellious, or how would you?
I don't even know that I gave it that much thought. I was just, my friends were drinking, so I was drinking. My friends were smoking weed, so I smoked weed. And I was never without a boyfriend. And yeah. Everybody else was doing it, and I was in that crowd.
Yeah.
And it just didn't even register with me the why of why I was doing it.
I never would have pegged you for being a rebellious teenager.
Really?
I guess I just didn't know.
I was a party girl.
I guess. I just had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
So when your parents got a divorce, were you staying with like your mom or dad? Like which one?
I lived with my mom, And then I saw my dad every other weekend and stayed with him for 2 weeks out of the year, like in the summer.
And so what was their reaction to this phase in your life?
Well, I thought I was hiding it from them. But my dad knew because I'd come home reeking of cigarettes and clearly drunk and tried to hide it. But I think they both knew. My mom, when I was in high school, my mom moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico when I was a sophomore in high school, and I chose not to go with her. And so I moved in with my dad. And my mom was kind of in her own rebellious phase at that time. So I don't think she would have liked all the drinking and stuff, but I don't think she would have been as horrified by it. But I chose to live with the person who would have been really horrified by it. I think he just patiently prayed for me. He knew I was a mess, but I don't think he knew what to do about it. Like, he didn't know what to do with me.
What you said earlier about like during that period of time, you felt like you had one foot in Christianity, one foot in I'm gonna have my fun. I guess, what do you feel like made you not want to just reject God, reject Christianity altogether?
Because all that time I still knew it was true. If you really wanted to analyze it, I was probably just angry with God. That my life wasn't wasn't turning out the way it was supposed to turn out. And but yeah, I never, not once during all of that did I ever think, this isn't true. I don't believe it. I don't, it was weird.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, you guys being Baptist, your parents getting a divorce. That sounds like it'd be really hard being Baptist, because I know I've gone
it
to
was
several...
frowned upon.
Yeah, like I wonder if it was like, I don't know, extra hard that you couldn't even look to the church, because not all Baptists are like this, but I know it can be very legalistic.
My dad still goes to the same church. It was the church he grew up in. And they didn't handle things the best while it was going on. The way their church leadership works is they have a deacon board, but they vote on things. Like the whole church votes on things. And like when people want to be members, they vote.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to give your testimony and then people vote. At least this is the way it was back then.
Oh my goodness.
And so they had to vote my mom out of the church because she filed for divorce from my dad. But they decided to announce that while my brother and I were while we were at church, instead of giving my dad a heads up so he could take us home.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was not a stellar moment in that church's history.
Don't tell me that this was the first time you were hearing about it though.
No.
Okay, because that's even worse.
No.
Imagine the shock.
No, yeah, I know.
Being at church on Sunday. What?
No.
Okay.
No. Wow. We already knew about it. It's just that they said it in front of everybody
while
we
were
there. And it was like, what? My dad was livid.
Goodness. Ugh, okay. That's rough.
Obviously, you're not bitter and angry towards God now, so we'll get to some of that, I'm sure. But what encouragement or advice would you give to someone who's listening to the podcast and whose parents are maybe going through a divorce, or their parents have already been divorced?
Yeah. Talk to somebody. Like if you're actually part of a church, if you're part of this church or a church, find somebody you respect and trust and talk to them about it. Because that's what I didn't do. I just wanted to be the good girl who didn't make any waves. And not that you're going to make waves and your parents are suddenly not going to get divorced. But internalizing it it's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
And I would also say God still sees you. He's still there. He knows what's happening. He is shedding tears for you. And he cares. He cares that this is happening to you. But someday you might look back and learn from it.
Yeah.
What would you say you've looked back and learned from it?
Well, I was pretty darn sure about who I married before I married him.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And that there were just some safeguards that I have in place so that there's like no temptation to fall into sin of any sort that would be relating to marriage, like adultery or anything like that. And I was just, I knew that when I got married, I was going to be committed and that God needed to be a part of it.
What do you feel like are good safeguards that married people should be? Like, are you talking more about like safeguards in your heart, like guarding your heart, or
Yeah. Like I don't have any best friends that are men. I have friends that are men, but I don't spend time with them.
Yeah.
I don't flirt. I don't harmlessly flirt because I don't think there's such a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So when did you had your rebellion? I keep calling it rebellious. You said
It's fine. You can go with that.
I just don't know.
I mean, it was.
You had your drinking and smoking weed phase.
Party phase.
Party
phase.
We'll call it the party phase. Okay. You had your party phase, and you had one foot in the door with Christianity and with God because you're like, it's still true. Like, I'm not gonna deny that. It's obvious. It's true. When did you come to a point where you realized that you didn't need to just have one foot in the door, but you needed both feet in the door?
It started the second half of my freshman year of college. I roomed with my cousin my freshman year of college. And there was one night she sat me down in the dining hall and she said, "Have you noticed I've lost weight?" I was like, "No." "Well, it's because of you." But she was like, "I'm seeing you do things that you know better." And I think she told her dad, because the next thing I knew, I got a letter from my dad, like not condemning or anything, but just like, "I'm praying for you. This is what's important in life."
Like you were stressing her out? Was that what she was?
Yeah, I was stressing her out. And I mean, I'm glad she got that blunt with me. But that started it. I did not really get in with both feet until the next school year when I met Brian. And he started challenging me on things I believed, and I couldn't answer him. And that's when I was like, yeah, I gotta, this is not okay.
Back to your cousin, I think that is really great when someone can just be blunt.
Yeah.
And like, if she had been worried about, because I've experienced this a lot of times in my life, if she had been worried about, like, I don't want to upset Michelle, I don't want Michelle to be mad at me, and then we don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
And it causes waves in the family or whatever because we couldn't get along.
Yeah.
But just being blunt and being like, hey, this is bad for you. This is
And
hurting.
you know better.
Yeah. That's definitely something to look for, a friend that will do that.
Yeah.
I think there's a proverb. What's that proverb? The wounds of a friend are sweeter than the kisses of your enemy, or
Something like that.
it's something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But what was your heart when she said that to you? Like, I am losing weight because you're
I
stressing
was
me
a
out.
little horrified. No, I think I was appreciative. I don't know. That was a long time ago.
In hindsight, you're appreciative.
Yes. I don't exactly remember what I was feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure I was embarrassed. I'm sure that was a big part of it.
Well, that must have been hard for her because she was living with you too. Like, because if you're the
Yep.
person you're living with all of a sudden is really upset with you, that would make it hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of caring about another person more than you care about your relationship with that other person.
Well, more than your comfort. 'Cause, like,
Yeah, your comfort.
risking your.
Because you have to really be willing to give up everything that you're getting from the relationship
Yeah.
in order to be that blunt with someone. So Brian had talked in his episode a little bit about how you guys met, how you dumped this other guy.
Well, then
Would you like me to tell the right story?
I would like you to start from the beginning, say the whole
Told
thing.
most of it pretty good. Okay, the retelling of how we met. So my freshman year, I was rooming with my cousin, and we went to this campus Bible group. And that spring, they always have this dinner in the spring. And this guy came up, started talking to me. His name was Greg Eulenhop. I'm not afraid to say that. We're going to see him this weekend.
Okay.
And
Are you guys having like a reunion or something? Or
one of our other college friends' daughters getting married, so we're going to the wedding, and he's going to be around. So, so anyway, okay, back me up on this. He was a swimmer, very built, blonde, California. Think California surfer dude. Okay, I thought he was very attractive. So, I was interested, and my grandma and grandpa had come to visit my cousin and I, and she brought us pumpkin bars. And so I took some of those pumpkin bars and went over to the dorm where he lived to offer him pumpkin bars and my heart. And he was not into me at all. But Brian was there. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, we were around talking about classical music and stuff. And I was like, I'm not that familiar with classical music, whatever. Brian's like, I'll make you a tape. So,
Okay, so Michelle's there for hot California swimmer guy.
and the little Jewish guy over here is offering to make me a tape.
Yeah, Jewish guy is making her a tape. Okay.
So anyway, yeah, nothing. I mean, he gave me the tape, whatever, nothing.
oh, so he did give you the tape.
He did give me the tape. I might even still have it somewhere.
Aww.
And then nothing. Went home for the summer, whatever. And then in the fall, I was working in the dining hall, so he came through the line, and we chatted, and it was customary to say, hey, you want to come see my room? Because, you know, you get it all decorated and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they had put a ceiling fan in their room, which was... He was at this point rooming with Greg. Mm-hmm. They put a ceiling fan in the room, which was a no-no, but they did it.
Did they have like loft beds and like
yes.
a bunk bed?
Oh, well, yeah. You're not supposed to alter the lighting in the room anyway. But so I don't know. Some of that's fuzzy, and then we went for he stopped by my room, and then we went for a really long walk, and I blurted out everything about like my wayward past, all of it.
Wow.
And I thought he would run for the hills, but he didn't. And the next thing I knew, he knew I had a boyfriend at the time who was across the state at a different school.
Okay, hold on. I have a question. In between giving the pumpkin bars or trying to bring the pumpkin bars to get this guy, how did you did you already have this other boyfriend, or how did you get this one?
He arrived over the summer.
Oh, okay.
See, this was part of the still trying to get my act together.
Okay. Okay.
We worked at the same grocery store.
Because when Brian told it, I thought maybe it was the roommate guy. Okay.
No, it wasn't. No, Greg and I were never a thing.
Okay.
Only in Michelle's dreams.
No, I'm happy with what I ended up with.
She's happy with the...
I mean, Greg's a great guy, but I don't think we would have worked out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go for this long walk, and then like a few days later, I get a phone call. I think it was a Thursday night, and he called and he said, I don't care if you have a boyfriend, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And he hung up the phone.
Oh my gosh.
And I screamed and got ready, and we went out on a date. And then I came home from the date, and I broke up with the boyfriend. I called him up and said, see ya.
Oh, Michelle.
Do you know what motivated Brian to take such drastic action?
You would have to ask him that question. I don't know.
I wish he had told the actual story to us so we could have asked him.
Yeah. Nope, that's exactly what he did.
So I thought he remembered saying that you guys went to like. Did you go to a movie for your first date?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
What movie was it?
What movie
Convinced
was it?
you?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed now. It was Pretty Woman. Like,
Okay.
Oh, that's a good. I don't know.
It is a good
I
movie.
like the movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a, yeah.
But there's some scenes in there that was
Oh.
like, oh, hey, we're on our
Like, I
first
wouldn't-
date. This is awkward. But
Oh, you know.
it was a good movie.
Yeah.
So how long after that was it that you felt like, oh, I could marry this guy? Because you said earlier that like you had this, I don't know if you'd call it like a high bar, but like you were going to be more concerned about the person.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because for the first, I don't know, few months, we fought like cats and dogs because he was still, steeped in the Church of Christ. And I was the Baptist over here, and we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. So we actually broke up for a little while, but then we got back together. And
It's how the best marriages start.
pretty much.
You missed out there.
Yeah. I don't know. He claims that when he went home for Thanksgiving, he told his mom that he wanted to marry me. But I don't remember. I'm sure it morphed over that first year at some point.
There just feels to me that there must have been something in you that knew that Brian was going to be your husband with you telling him all of your secrets and going
know,
on
isn't
that.
that weird?
Because like
Yeah.
girls don't usually just go on walks with guys, and I don't know. It's just
No, and like I knew he was a Christian, so for me to like blurt out
yeah.
all the uglies was
Well, yeah,
that's
you'd be
taking a big
scared
risk.
of all that. So there's got to be something in there that like knew here's a
Because-
quality guy.
And he has said, I never thought I would marry somebody whose parents were divorced. I never thought I would marry somebody who partied like you partied. Like I was not the picture of the perfect woman that he had in his mind.
You were better.
And boy, did I rock his
And you continue to this day.
I do. The poor man.
Well, it is interesting because I feel like, you were kind of talking about this before of like guarding your heart of like emotional connection with people of the opposite sex. Like I feel like that's another area of sharing deep, difficult things. Like when you do that with someone, like your hearts just kind of go together.
Yeah.
And if you're single and with someone of the opposite sex, like I feel like that's something to watch out for almost as much as like physical touch and
Yeah.
if you're trying to guard your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Don't
So.
tell people your business. That.
Well, and he was still there. I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
Was he didn't run screaming for the hills, and he was really into me. And nothing. I mean, listen, nothing's more attractive to a girl than a guy that's really into you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the moment that he knew was probably when you shared all that stuff with him.
Maybe, I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
we don't have those conversations. I don't know if I want to know. Like, are you horrified by me?
So you said before that Brian starting to question you about your faith and like theological things, that pushed you towards becoming more invested in it yourself. So what did that look like?
I started reading my Bible more, and then eventually I got baptized again, just kind of as this, I don't know if I'm saved or not, or was saved before. I don't know, but I need a marker I need to plant a flag. So I did that. But yeah, it was just getting in the Word more. Definitely.
Yeah. And when you went to reading the Bible, were you trying to answer like specific questions, or were you just trying to like figure out, wait, what do I actually believe?
A little of both. It's interesting because I think a part of me conceded a little bit to what he was believing at the time. And it's interesting because I think now he's come around to where
You were.
I was
Well, the
when
thing,
we met.
he was saying that you were unwavering, though, from what he remembered when we
Really?
interviewed him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I just was like, okay, if I want to be with him, then I need to just
Agree,
trust
yeah.
that he loves God and he, he's not going to steer me wrong. And so, but yeah, I think I always in my heart knew, okay, I knew what I knew was right. And, yeah, I don't know. He came to New Life. Well, actually started before he came to New Life. But yeah, it's kind of weird how it came back around.
Yeah. In your relationship, as well as like the theological and like trusting that he loves Jesus, did you feel like you had wounds from your parents' divorce that gave you like just trust issues in general in the relationship, or was that not really a thing?
I don't think so. I don't think I ever didn't. I have never not trusted him. So no.
Yeah. So how long, I'm sure Brian said this, but how long were you guys dating / engaged before you got married?
3 years.
Okay.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And did you guys specifically wait to get married until like you were done with college, or?
Yes. My dad had said to me, I'm not going to pay for your college if you get married while you're in college.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that was a motivating factor to not get married. Well, was that a good thing to tell me? Probably not. But that's how he felt. So
Yeah.
so yeah, we just that's what you did. I mean, it's kind of like you didn't get married in college. You got married when you were done with college.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And now people just get married and don't go to college. So
Get married right before college.
I feel like we are our own ecosystem.
I
inside
agree.
this church.
I was recently talking to an Amish girl, and she said that for them it's bizarre to get married like when you're 20 or before, like 20 is really young.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, really?
I think
No,
most of the
that's
world thinks that.
Get married younger than that.
yeah, that's a good point. So from that point on of, getting into the word more and then getting married, how do you feel like your relationship with God grew?
I think when we were still at the other church, I don't know how much I was growing that much. I went through a time of like really bad depression and anxiety while we were still at that church. That actually did a lot to grow my faith, which is weird, but it did. I'm trying to think of formulate my answer to this.
Well, what brought on that anxiety and depression?
No idea.
Okay. Is that something you struggled with in the past, or?
I actually, before Brian and I got married, we almost didn't get married. That's a big scandal.
That's how the best marriages are started. You missed out.
I know. I feel like I got real cold feet.
Okay.
And I'm sure that has everything to do with my parents. But I mean, once I came to New Life and I started getting like counseling, like early renew, obviously I had not dealt with a lot of the stuff from my parents. So that was a big factor, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was this before you guys had kids?
No.
Also, you had...
I had Allie and Sam.
At the time, and you had this onset of depression and
Not
anxiety.
get out of bed. Yeah.
So how was that, like, taking care of two little ones? And
I didn't. Other people did. I had friends I had good friends at that church. In fact, one of them was my son-in-law's mother, who took the kids all day long while Brian went to work. But yeah, I had friends that just kept them during the day while Brian was at work, so I could just lay unshowered in my bed and cry or sleep.
And so what do you feel like, I guess maybe not what like brought that on, but as you began to come out of that and like receive counseling and overcome that, what do you feel like were the things that some realizations that you had of like, oh, this is why this was happening?
Why the divorce was happening, or why?
Like, why were you crying?
Yeah, like
Why was I depressed?
yeah.
Yeah,
There you
if
go.
you would.
You know, I don't know that I can fully answer that question. Some of the things that in those early times of counseling was, you know, I don't know if I can trust God. I don't, you know, does God really love me? This happened. How could he love me? And this terrible thing happened. I have also, I think from it, have struggled with thinking it's my job to keep everybody happy. So there was a lot of that also.
Yeah.
So were you? So you were dealing with that, but then also not able to take care of your kids. Do you think that just like made it worse? Because now you're feeling shame and guilt about not taking care of your kids because
absolutely.
you're so sad and
Yeah, absolutely.
just in that. So how were you able to pull yourself out enough to get help?
My husband pulled me out. He literally made a doctor's appointment, made me get in the shower, made me put on clothes, made me put me in the car, took me to the doctor. And I was on antidepressants for like a year and a half. Because at the time there was we weren't at New Life. There was no I didn't see any other option. And I'm not saying antidepressants are bad. I'm a firm believer in they're a tool for a time.
Yeah.
Or forever if you need them. But, yeah, so they put me on antidepressants. And then, but it was interesting because that was I saw one doctor on a Monday, and then on the Thursday, he got me into another doctor who was a Christian, who another friend had seen when they were going through a time of depression. And he's the one that prayed for me in the appointment and said to me, okay, well, you know, the opposite of anxiety is thankfulness. So what are you not being thankful for? I was like, ow. But it was good because he like kind of poked me and helped me, you know, think about, okay, well, maybe I should think about where this is coming from. But I honestly really didn't until I came to New Life. I didn't go off the antidepressants until I came to New Life because I wasn't, well, I was feeling better, obviously. But I was able to get help when I came here.
So how long after coming to New Life was it before you started doing counseling?
I was within the first year or two because I remember, you know, your dad didn't leave us alone the minute we walked through the door.
Yeah.
So we were going to a leadership thing. We were riding with your parents. And it was like 5 months. No, it wasn't even 5 months after we got here. Like we got here around Easter and it was like the summer. And so we were in the car and I don't know, I must have been sharing with your dad some stuff about me. And he's like, it was back when we were doing the 7 steps to freedom in Christ or something like that. He was like, you need to go through the 7 steps to freedom in
Was
Christ.
that based on like the 7-step program for alcoholism?
No, it
or-
was part of who was that guy? Victory Over the Darkness or whatever. It was all that stuff. So I was like, okay. And that's how it started. So he and Sherry and I started with that.
Do you feel like like coming to a new church, do you feel like that was an easy thing for you to open up? I feel like a lot of people coming to a new church, they want to keep their mask on for a while of like, life's perfect. We're just Christians. We're all good. We're here to serve and help. And
Yeah. Well, I have a tendency to run my mouth. So sometimes I am open about things without meaning to be open about things.
works well for a podcast.
I was going to say, we got the right gal then.
It's just oral diarrhea. But
Well, that's a nasty term. Don't say that again.
my mom used to say that.
Diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
It kind of has a nice ring to it, though.
Well, yeah. It's
Oral diarrhea.
oral
Stop
diarrhea.
saying
I really like alliteration. There's some alliteration.
Now, what was the question?
Was it difficult for you to take the mask off coming to a new church?
No. Y'all made it easy. Well, not you personally. You were 5. But
I was part of it, Michelle, I'm sure.
yeah, it was. But Sherry, your mom, your dad, those were the 3 biggies. Made it very easy. Because I saw them and I was like, these guys, they're on a different level
Okay.
than I am. And I want that level. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
How did you, because I feel like sometimes people could see a Christian on another level and be like, feel judged by that and feel like they can't approach that. Did you feel any of that or?
Probably.
Okay.
But it wasn't enough to stop you.
No.
So I was
Well, that's because they would draw me out.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't me,
Going after
walking up to them and going,
Yeah.
it was like them drawing me out, and they would not leave us alone. We just wanted to come here and sit in the back row and like not do anything for a while because we were a little wounded, and they would not leave us alone.
I feel like
I'm glad now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like a good picture of Christ in that of like, I feel like in the world, if someone is like really good at something or someone has a lot of prestige, it's like that person becomes unapproachable. But like Jesus being, the God and Son of God and the most righteous man that's ever lived, like when he was on earth, he washed his disciples' feet. And it's like, as Christians, like a Christian on another level is willing to put themselves below your level.
Well, even more than that,
love you.
you know that it's not their doing that they're on that level.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right.
the equalizer, is that it's Christ doing it for you. And I
Right.
feel like that makes anybody very approachable, is if you know
Right.
the Lord is working in their life and he can work in mine too. And they
Yeah.
can show me how they got there. I was wondering, do you believe that depression is a misfiring in your brain? Like I know some people believe that, or some people believe it's entirely spiritual or lies you're believing or what. Because
Oh, you're opening up a can of worms with me.
when you were saying that it just came out of nowhere.
I mean,
That's what made me
I
think
can
about that.
remember standing at the stove stirring spaghetti sauce, and all of a sudden I just felt this
Wave of depression.
on me.
Huh.
It was really weird. I believe there are different kinds of depression. I do think that there is a spiritual aspect to it, but I also believe, maybe I'm going to get myself in trouble, that there can be, particularly for women, hormones play a huge part in depression and anxiety. And some women have more difficulty with that. A thyroid can cause problems with depression and anxiety. Like there are.
That's true.
Yeah, I do think that there are physical conditions that can cause those symptoms to come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not.
I don't think you'll get in trouble for
Yeah.
saying that
Well, I have a cousin.
women have
We'll
hormones.
get well. Yeah. Boy, do we. I have a cousin who with her first child, she got really severe postpartum depression, and it never left. And she had 4 kids after that. And while she was pregnant, she felt great. But once the baby was born, she was a mess, and she ended up taking her own life at 40 years old. And do I think that she was missing some things? Like, do I think could she have benefited from a new? Absolutely. But I also can't say that there wasn't something
In SSR,
chemical going on there.
Yeah.
Because she was a believer, and she was a strong believer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, like, even on an even more basic level, like, sometimes, like, let's say I'm feeling really stressed out, or I'm feeling like, life is overwhelming, life is pointless, and then I'm like, why do I feel this way? Oh, I didn't sleep last night.
Exactly.
Or, oh, I ate crap today.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there is the aspect that, we have a soul and a spirit, but we also have a body.
Yes.
And trying to figure out if it's the body that's affecting the spirit or the spirit affecting the body, or what's going on.
A little of both.
Or
It's exhausting.
It is.
It's exhausting.
When the body does affect the spirit, they're tethered together.
Yeah.
And so, like, I like with the thyroid thing, I'm not usually very anxious or like depressed kind of a person, but like more recently I would notice like I just get anxious and I don't know what to do with it, especially when I leave the podcast. I feel very anxious.
When you leave the podcast?
Yeah, like whenever I leave here I feel anxious. I don't know why.
Do you feel like you've said too much?
Well, I don't I think the problem is I feel like I ask too much. It's like,
Gotcha.
how did you feel when this happened? Like,
Yeah.
but so then talking to the doctor, and she said like that's a symptom of having a thyroid issue. I was like, oh yeah, because like, and it's not super bad, so it's not been going on for a long time.
Right.
So that made me realize, well, that's probably why I've been so anxious feeling.
It could be. Yeah.
Or because I'm asking too many questions and I feel bad about it. It's one of those. Maybe both.
One could be perpetuating the other.
That's true.
But yeah, thyroid's legit. Like, that can mess you up.
So, I don't know. This is just an interesting topic to me, so I'm going to keep asking questions
Okay.
about it. But so I'm assuming if you were put on antidepressants for like a year, that period, then you were clinically diagnosed with depression. Is that
Yes.
correct? Did you feel like that was a helpful experience for you, being clinically diagnosed and given a label, or do you feel like that was not helpful?
I'm one of those people that when I go to the doctor and there's something wrong and then they come back and go,
Yeah.
I'm frustrated by that. Because if I can name it, then I can do something about it. And so I don't think it affected me like, well, I'm a depressed person now. I'm doomed forever.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, this is what's happening. Now, what do we do about it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you described a little bit there, like the big pitfall that I see in diagnosis with a lot of people. I feel like one of the biggest ones is diagnosing kids ADHD.
Sure.
Like, because it's primarily young boys. Not saying that like ADHD doesn't exist or anything,
Right.
or medication can't help that kind of thing, but I've definitely seen kids be like, I'm ADHD, I can't change, I can't
make it
behave.
their identity.
I didn't have my meds, I can't behave.
Yeah. Well, I think we can really go down that rabbit hole. Speaking of the FDA, no, I think there's lazy medicining. I don't know, medical. I don't know what the right word is. Nathan's smart. What's the right word?
Prescribing?
Yeah,
Oh, wow, that
and
was a
just
good one.
doctoring. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you come in here, you're sad, you feel depressed. Well, here's some antidepressants. Go and be well.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, let's figure out,
Why?
is there something physiological going on? Is there something? And I think it's the same thing with kids. Like, well, here, just take your Ritalin and go. Instead of doing the work to see if there's an underlying problem.
And there
before
usually is.
you start handing out meds like they're candy.
Yeah, I'm definitely the kind of person that, like, which is probably isn't like the healthiest way to be, But even if I was like clinically diagnosed with some sort of mental health disorder, which I think I I could have probably gotten a clinical diagnosis at different points in my life if I really wanted to. But I just
Really?
I think I could get one right now. I think I'd be told I have OCD, like big time.
I don't think it's very hard. But maybe I can get one right now too. I don't know. Tune in next week.
What's Joseph got?
But I think there's an aspect to where like human brains, we're all humans and we can all fall in the same patterns. But then there's another aspect to it of like we're all unique. We've had unique experiences. Like it's kind of like a deck of cards. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but if you like shuffle a deck of cards, there's some super high probability that you're the only person who's ever held a deck of cards in that exact formation. Anyways, and I feel like I just maybe see like individuals that are having a mental health issue. Like to me, it just doesn't, like giving a diagnosis or a label oversimplifies the problem, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, it can.
And I think it can be a little unhealthy for myself, feeling like, no, there's a really complex answer here, and if I can put all the pieces together, then I'll figure it out, and then I'll be better. Like, that's a little bit of a trap, but then it's also a trap to say, like, oh, here's the answer. I can't ever change it.
Right. Well, and modern medicine doesn't take the time. They just don't take the time, which is why I love my functional medicine doctor, because she takes the time. Costs a pretty penny, but she takes the time. But I would have liked to have gone into that first doctor and him say, oh, you're feeling depressed. Well, what has happened in your life in the last 5 to 10 years? Well, I've had 2 babies. My youngest is 3. Maybe there was some hormone stuff going on. Maybe I was definitely, since after Sam was born, not because Sam was a difficult baby, because he was lovely, but I started struggling with insomnia after he was born, and it just got worse as the years went on. And, we didn't check any of that.
That is insane. That he wouldn't even look to, you
nothing.
just had babies.
Nothing. It was, you're depressed. What are some things that you used to like doing? Well, I like to read, but I just, I don't feel like reading. I don't feel like, oh, okay. Talk to me some more. Then he prescribed drugs, and he said, now, there's also some really good books with our counseling place over there. You could read some books to help you. I was like, dude, you just heard me say. Yeah. So I do think that most, not all, but most doctors miss the mark.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
That's true. I feel like, though, Joseph, what you were saying, I feel like one of the problems nowadays, though, is that people think they're too special. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're not.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of...
Oh, well, if everybody's special, then nobody's special.
Right. Exactly.
The Incredibles was right. The little kid.
Yeah.
He says, well, if everybody's
special,
incredible, then nobody's incredible, or whatever he says. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, I think you're kind of getting at what I alluded to a little bit of, like, I can fall into the trap of thinking, like, oh, there's this complex solution, and it's unique to me, and I can figure it out and put all these pieces together, and then the answer will be there. When, like, well, maybe I just need to, like, work harder at having healthy habits.
Yeah. Like, it could be simpler than you're trying to make it.
Pray.
Like, maybe I should just do the things I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And some of us are willing to pay a lot of money for another person to tell us that.
Yeah. To say, don't eat gluten.
Yeah, no, you should drink water and walk outside.
I don't wanna.
Yeah, the solutions are usually pretty simple. Unless it's some sort of hormonal or neurological thing.
That.
And even then, once you figure it out, there's
it's like But then you have an answer. And you
Yeah,
can do
there's a
something about
tangible
Yeah.
steps that you can take.
Yeah. All right. How do we dig ourselves
That
out
was
of
a
this hole?
giant tangent.
So now, we were
It
talking,
almost turned into conspiracy theories.
and I would have so much fun if we got there.
Michelle, what is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Or which one do you believe the most?
Well, I do wholeheartedly believe that the FDA is in bed with Big Pharma.
Oh, that one's not even
That's not even a
conspiracy theory. That's just the fact.
I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist. I'm that person that says, well, it's okay. What can we use as an example?
Who was behind 9/11?
I don't know if we want to bring that one up.
Because I don't think that's even questionable.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Biden won the election and everybody said it was rigged, it was like, okay, well, I haven't seen a whole lot of proof that happened.
Right.
So, okay. But if somehow we found out that it was, I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Yeah.
So I'm usually that person who's like, well, there's no concrete proof, so I can't say that definitively. But if I found out that happened, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Who killed JFK?
There's a second spitter for all my Seinfeld fans.
Okay. I've never seen Seinfeld. But
When Josh and I were dating, we would try to ask each other, come up with the most convincing conspiracy theory
Oh, gosh.
you can't, and we would tell it to each other.
Nice.
And I just loved it. So
I feel like Josh would be good at that.
oh my gosh, he can sell a good.
in college, he wrote a whole paper on UFO conspiracy theories.
Oh gosh.
I can't even remember why he did
And
that.
it was probably beautiful.
Did he like the X-Files? Did he watch the X-Files? Was he into that?
I don't. Well, we watched more of the Twilight Zone. So the X-Files we did watch a little bit of because
That's a good show.
when John and Jessica were living in my parents' basement, or maybe when John was dating Jessica and Jessica was living in the basement, I don't remember.
You had a lot of people living in the basement.
A lot of people in that basement. They would watch the X-Files. They were watching through the X-Files together.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'd watch it. And I'm a pretty sensitive guy, and so it was usually too much for me.
Oh, gotcha.
I remember one Bigfoot episode specifically. But anyways,
I don't
I
know.
was derailing you.
Well, I was gonna ask you to come up with, or at least tell the audience the most convincing
I'm not that
conspiracy theory. Really?
No. No.
Well, just humor us. Try.
Oh, that takes
This
we're
is-
supposed to be sitting here for
it's
20
difficult
minutes for me just to
questions,
think
Jerra.
of
Is it?
something.
I could come up with a ridiculous.
Spew something.
Well, I'm not as good as Josh.
I can think of another one that's probably not a conspiracy.
Oh yes. Do that.
Oh, I don't know, because that might make some people upset. I don't want to upset people.
We can edit it out.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
If it.
Biden wasn't really running the show.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone accepts that now.
Yeah.
I
I don't think everyone accepts that.
honestly, one of my favorite things in the past few months has been watching all the little videos of Biden, because it just seems like he doesn't give a crap.
I just feel sorry for I really do kind of feel sorry for him, because they kept putting him in front of people, and the poor guy couldn't put his
Yeah.
sentence together, and it's this is almost like elder abuse.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Yes.
Very unfortunate. When I was in high school, the ridiculous conspiracy theory I kind of believed was Michelle Obama is a man. And the reason I believed it is
never heard
that
that one.
they said her fingers, the length of her fingers relative to each other were
She had man
manly.
fingers?
The measurements were off. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is hard proof. So I go to my mom and I show her this video, Michelle Obama is a man. And I'm talking to her and I see her fingers. And the measurements are off. And I said, oh my gosh, you're a man. And I learned my lesson. She's had a baby. There's no way this woman is a man. My mom. That was the most ridiculous
my
one that I bought
goodness.
into for all of 5 minutes until the evidence pointed to my mom being a man as well.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes conspiracy theories, it's almost like the name is very misleading because I feel like, for me, the biggest one is like the one world order, like global government. Like people are always talking about the what's that organization? The like something Worldwide Trade Federation, or maybe that's from Star Wars. I don't know.
No, that's a real thing. The Trade Center, something.
I can't.
There's this lady
idea.
called her YouTube videos.
What's the big?
You're talking about the WHO, the World Health
No,
Organization.
not the World Health
Okay.
Organization. There's another
Something trade.
global organization that people are always talking about. Anyways, people talk about like conspiracy theories of these people are trying to like make the
Babble.
yeah, it's kind of like in
What happened?
yeah, I feel like there's something a lot bigger than a couple rich people
Yeah.
that's pushing humanity in that direction. And I don't know exactly what it is or if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
It's probably a bad thing. People are involved.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of conspiracy theories where it's like, no, these things just make sense. It's not people like having some big grand scheme,
Right.
Like the FDA and
Right.
and pharmaceutical companies. You don't have to look very far to see like, they just want to make money. Like they're not trying.
Somebody's being paid off
They're
somewhere.
not. They're not trying to make the world transgender or something. They're trying to make money off of transgender people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and their desires doesn't have anything to do with it. Well, it doesn't have a lot to do with it because ultimately, like, if you're hurting people, like Satan is behind that.
Yeah.
And so if you keep thinking and you keep thinking, like you just get to the world is fallen. But the thing, there's this comedian that like says, like he doesn't understand people that don't believe in any conspiracy theories. And he said he has only one kid and he lies to the kid constantly. So the fact that the government is in charge of all of us, like, of course they're lying to us.
Right.
And he doesn't understand people who think, like, the government's not lying to us and they're 100% upfront. I feel like that is one extreme that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, you know what Tony Schaefer told me?
What?
She said to me, you know the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, 6 to 12 months. I think now she's like 3 to 6 months. She's brought it down a little bit. But speaking of health and stuff, like your eating, I know you've been cleaning up your eating for years and you're really passionate about telling people they should, well, probably not going around telling people, but if people ask you like what you're doing, you talk about exercising and everything. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
Yeah, something I did want to ask you about, that is connected. I'm not trying to override what you're saying.
I was like,
Am I right in saying that you've dealt with chronic pain for a while?
Yes.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering, like, what is that? I mean, I know that's very connected to what she's talking about. And
I have fibromyalgia, which I feel like doesn't always mean anything because it's kind of like, here, we're going to test you for other stuff and you don't have it. So you have fibromyalgia.
it's one of those buckets.
Yeah, it's a bucket. So, so I have that. I have a lot of arthritis, different places in my body. So, yeah, I hurt.
And I guess alongside kind of what Jerra was saying, what do you feel like your journey has been in trying to figure some of that out?
Well, when I went to my regular doctor, she's the one that told me I had fibromyalgia, and it was kind of there's different antidepressants that you can take that are supposed to help with pain, and so I tried some of those and bleh. Mm-hmm. And so I was getting frustrated, and plus I was dealing with some hormonal stuff, and so I'd known people that went to Stephanie Gray at the Integrative Health and Hormone Clinic. So I went to see her, and she was the one that kind of was like, okay, well, yeah, fibromyalgia, but you could have leaky gut or you could have, whatever. So she's the one that did like the food sensitivity testing and the, testing other vitamin levels and stuff like that to see to get to the bottom of what was going on instead of just hurling.
Yeah.
Although she's hurling pills at me because I'm taking supplements, but it's stuff my body needs. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how interconnected and complex the human body can be. And, like, I feel like it's kind of a microcosm for a lot of things that humans do, but, like, all of the ramifications or unintended consequences from, like, technology and, like, the advances in technology and just everything that we deal with in modern society. Like, there's a lot of ways in which all that stuff affects people who aren't human beings. I mean, I said people who aren't human beings. I mean animals in the earth and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, like, that was a really weird way to say that. I don't believe dogs are people. They won't be in heaven. Except for Azula.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Milo's going to be in heaven.
Milo's a cat. I didn't say anything about cats.
Your dad doesn't believe cats will be in it.
If there's any cat that will be in heaven,
It's
will be
Milo.
Yes,
And
there's some
Charlie's
other
there,
cats
too.
I've met.
Was Milo
Charlie would
orange?
be in heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, orange cats are just so special.
Yep,
They
us
are.
redheads.
Red beards.
Red beards.
What
Anyways,
are you talking
I
about?
don't know what I'm talking about. But it all feels way too complex to me, the whole health thing.
It is. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's given me just like some amount of apathy in it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you're not on social media, are you?
Nah.
You are.
I am.
Okay.
Actually, I made my first Facebook post the other day,
Wow.
but it
I'm
was
sorry.
yeah. But it's it was in like I'm only using Facebook for this specific group about something that I'm passionate about.
Okay.
And that's the very first time I've ever made a Facebook post. And I don't even have notifications on my phone. So all the people who commented on it, I don't
You have no idea.
I have no idea.
Good for you. All you have to do is scroll through social media and you see, right now my big trigger is women going through menopause and all the menopause weight gain and blah, 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 blah. No, this is how you lose it. No, this is how you lose it. No, this is how you lose it. No, this is how, and it's just like, and yeah, and you've got these people saying this and you've got these people saying this about any aspect of health. And so it's very frustrating because it's like, who's telling me the truth? Somebody just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know who to believe. But the truth is, everybody's body is different.
Yeah.
So this might work for you, but something else might work for Jerra or for me or for Nathan over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as being healthy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that concept kind of recently of like when we talk about our mental health, people talk a lot about personality and like, you know, a truth that I really need to focus on maybe isn't a truth that someone else needs to focus on. Like an example recently for me has been like I a lot of times just need to like when I'm feeling something, I need to tell myself, no, that's a lie. I shouldn't feel that way. Because the alternative for me is really feeding into that emotion and like
Discharged.
trying to like make that emotion as big as possible. And that's really unhealthy. But then just being able to say, no, that's a lie. I shouldn't feel that way. This is the truth. I should just feel this way. It's a lot better. That's been like really helpful for me.
And you're able to just feel a different way because you told yourself to?
I mean, I think part of it is like applying what I've renewed. So
Okay.
like
Yes.
I've had a renew session and it's like I was able to have this realization of, oh, I was believing this lie. Here's this truth that I need to believe.
So now you just take
I
that
have to keep
truth from,
reminding yourself of the
from
truth.
one part of your
Yes.
heart and apply it to another part of your heart.
Anyways, but for another person, someone who's maybe less emotional, it could be like they're constantly in the state of oh, I have this emotion, but I shouldn't listen to that. I have this emotion, but I shouldn't listen to that. And that's really unhealthy for them, potentially, because they are seeing that their emotion is a warning sign that there's something going on.
Yeah.
Anyways, and so I was thinking about that concept, and I was like, that's kind of like how it is with people's like physical health too. That some things are good for certain people, and it's like we need like a body personality test or something.
If only it were that easy. But you're right. Like, for example, if I eat a little bit of gluten, a little bit of dairy, and then stay away from it for a while, I'm okay. But if I eat gluten and dairy every single day for every meal, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to hurt. And I'm going to see the effects of that. Now, you could eat gluten and dairy for every meal and be fine.
I do.
God bless you.
So
I'm jealous.
When you went to
Stephanie.
Italy.
Oh, Italy. I had no problems.
Okay, see, that's America.
I ate all the pasta I
That's
wanted.
so crazy.
And I was not. I was only in pain because there was a lot of walking, and I was 7 months out from my hip surgery.
Yeah. You were gonna say 7 months pregnant. Oh. What? No, Michelle.
Oh, would that be embarrassing for my children?
When did you guys go to Italy?
2021?
You got that cute purse.
2021 or 2022, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
But you could eat all of the gluten.
I could eat the pasta and had no problem.
It's the stuff that we're making here. It's how we're making it here. It's just so
We're
upsetting.
circling back.
Uh-huh. My goodness.
Yeah, it's probably the Roundup that they spray on the wheat.
Roundup and all the
and everything's
things.
genetically modified
Genetic.
here because and you know, to be fair, we're feeding a ton of people.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how do we feed so many people and do it economically and efficiently and all that kind of stuff. And I understand that. But that's the cost, is that.
Well,
And food isn't food.
well, I feel like people are like really in America. We're really concerned about quantity rather than quality, because like there are other places in America. I mean, in the country
If you
that
go
are
anywhere else in the world and you go somewhere to get something to eat,
it's smaller,
plate
but
is not this big.
right, as big as your head,
Full
and
of
then
food.
Yeah, I was talking with
We are a gluttonous nation.
yeah.
One of Elena's relatives. It'd be her great aunt, her grandma's sister-in-law.
Okay. We don't need to unpack that.
I was talking with her. We had dinner with them at Texas Roadhouse, which I think is an awful restaurant in my opinion.
It is.
But I don't like their
Really?
food. I don't like their food very much.
I'll tell you stuff
I do.
about
Actually,
it
I just
after.
hate the atmosphere.
This was the
Get off of
first
here.
time I had a steak there, and I have to say that was the best thing. I don't know why I've never gotten the steak there, but that's like the only
That's the
thing.
whole point of
That's the
going
only
to
thing
Texas
you should do.
Roadhouse, Joe, is to get a steak.
Anyways, so maybe that's why I hated it, because I did actually like the
The
steak.
smothered chicken is also good. Other than
See,
that,
yeah, that's the thing I did.
It's
not
just too
like.
loud.
really
It is
That-
too loud, and we asked them if they could turn down the music because Dave has hearing aids, and they were like, "It's all connected together, so we can't."
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, and we were like off in a corner where there was no one else. Sorry, Texas Roadhouse fans. This was
It's
difficult
loud.
for you. Anyways, we were talking about Italy because she lived in Italy for a period of time, and we were talking about the food there and how obsessive they are over their quality of food. And I had seen. I talked with John and Ben Gross after their recent trip to England. There was a trip that John did like a year. And
When they went with Pete.
When they went with Pete, and
Yeah.
then the recent one with the Huthers.
Yes.
Anyways, something that kind of blew my mind from them, and then also talking to Elena's family member, is that like their gas station food is like higher quality than our restaurant food.
that is insane.
Not shocking and so sad.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a long discussion to get to that point. But yeah, their gas station food is better than our restaurant food.
That's not surprising.
Well, and if you want their gas station food here, you're paying an arm and a leg for it. Like that kind of quality. Like if you buy a lot of stuff.
Is there that kind of quality gas station?
Well, I like the pasta that we like to eat from natural grocers, and it's probably not as good as Italy, but like it's pretty expensive. Like a lot of the because you want to eat organic wheat products because it's like sprayed the most and it's got all the awful stuff, and it's just so expensive.
I know. That's
and then you start to think like, should I stop eating?
The food with the least amount of stuff on it costs the most.
Well, and the thing is, it still has something like it's not even
stuff in it.
Yeah,
costs the most.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're spending all day grinding your own wheat and like doing all this extra
Ain't
stuff.
nobody got time for that.
Yeah, and like I don't even know.
Yeah.
I feel like we dug ourselves into a hole and then just kept digging. What's our runtime at, Nathan?
Like an hour and 10.
Oh, that's not bad.
Hey.
That's not bad at all.
7:30 right now.
Still have some time to get things back on track.
Health talk.
Well, I feel like people are really into
They
health
are.
talk
Yes.
right now. So are you into non-tox at all? Like, are you essential oils? I know last week.
Yeah, then you're really digging.
Well, no, like cleaning your house with essential oils.
I
and
do.
like,
Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
don't use a lot of.
Like,
I kind of pick and choose. Like, listen, I live in the real world, and so I can't. It's too exhausting. I can't be worried about every little thing
yeah.
that's gonna give me cancer. Like,
You gotta
God
do
knows the
80-20.
number of my days. I'm gonna put hairspray on.
Yeah.
So I do the best I can without losing my mind.
Right.
How do you keep that balance? Because I feel like that's something that's very difficult for a lot of people I know, especially my wife, is like, well, like, so the other day, well, she listens to these kind of podcasts that talk about health all the time. And it was just a couple days ago that Donald Trump got elected as U.S. president. And whatever you think about that, Elena was like telling me that she's so relieved because she feels like the people who are getting put into his government will actually care about the health of people in the country. And whether that's true or not, we'll see. But what I was trying to get at
Are you
is,
trying to get her kicked out? She's the one that supports Trump, not me.
No, what I'm trying to get at is it can be really easy to feel like the deck is stacked against us with our health, and all these companies are conspiring against us, and we can't be healthy and whatnot. And there's too many, all these things, fluoride in the water and whatever. How do you keep sane and just know, like, there's some things I need to focus on, and there's a lot of things that I can
I'm
just
going to say
ignore.
this very clearly. I don't listen to the podcasts.
Yeah.
That's probably where you gotta start.
I do not immerse myself in it, because if I immersed myself in it, I would be I would be hyper fixated and would, feel like I needed to do everything. And nobody has that kind of money, first of all, unless you're Donald Trump. So I don't want to fill my head with all of it all the time, because it's too much.
Yeah.
And then it gets confusing, and then I get upset, and I get frustrated, and I get, oh no, I have to do this, that, and the other. And
Yeah. Well, and you can like consume it all and feel like you gotta change everything and spend all this money and then feel like you're not doing good enough.
Well,
or you could like go the other way where you're like, well, this is all too defeating and I'm just not gonna care. And
the thing
about my
is
health.
I could do all that stuff, and God's still going to take me when God decides to take me.
Yeah.
I still could get cancer. I still could, get hit by a car. I still could fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So there has to be a level of, you know what? I'm going to trust God. I'm going to do the best I can with the resources I have, and I'm going to trust God with the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when Jesus said, do not worry about what you will eat or drink, which he was, I think, mostly talking about.
Am I going to eat or
Am I
drink?
gonna eat or drink?
Not if it's non-GMO.
Yeah.
But I think there's a dynamic in that verse where he says, do not worry about what you eat or drink. Is not life more than food or something like
In
that.
the body more than clothing.
And he says, do not worry about your life. So it's like he's making this hierarchy of, I'm telling you not to worry about your life. So you definitely shouldn't worry about these things because if you were dead, none of these things would matter. If you're alive, they can matter. But if you're not dead,
Right. Well,
anyways.
your health can become an idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being healthy and being, all these things, how you eat, how much you exercise, that all can, and we've seen it over and over again, can sway to such a direction that that's the most important thing. And it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when he says, dang, I just lost my train of thought. When he says, seek first the kingdom of God and all these things will be given to you. Okay, I regained my train of thought.
Awesome.
There's definitely a balance there, just specifically talking about health, of someone can say, I'm not going to worry about what I eat or drink. I'm not going to worry about my life. And then they're a glutton or they're reckless or something.
Right.
And it's, or they're ignoring some way that they're coping. It's like you have to be focused on the positive of seeking first the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
In order, I feel like, to not slip into some form of idolatry. Because I think on the one hand, you can slip into caring about your health way too much and then slip into this defensive posture, like the fat positive kind of, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's a movement or like mindset.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about. The whole,
Like, if you're over 300 pounds, you should love it that you're over 300. I mean, not,
So not even that, but you're healthy.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're going to live. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like an extreme example, but there's smaller ways that people can, like, I just have a sweet tooth or something, that you can say, like, oh, I'm focused on the important stuff, not on the stuff that doesn't matter.
self-control, though.
Yeah.
Seeking first his kingdom is a fruit of the Spirit is self-control. So there's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance. I have told my kids growing up, eat good food, move your body. It will be what it will be. I've told that to Allie especially, because girls, can go off the rails with that kind of stuff. And it, just eat healthy food, move your body.
I heard a trainer say today, he said, you've got to take the food off of the pedestal and put it on your plate. Like, just don't worship it. And like making food such a big deal is how you would know you have a problem.
I have been known to be like, everything that we do revolves around food.
Yeah.
It's pot grace. It's this party. It's food. It's food. It's food. And it's not necessarily
Well,
food. And I just get all...
That's the crazy. But then food becomes your hobby and your entertainment. Like, okay, I'm going to be the first one to admit, Pauline
going on
and
a tangent again.
We would hang out and like, what would we do for fun? A lot of our early college, we would go out to eat ourselves into debt. Like, and then we'd think, well, what do we want to do for fun now? And everything we would be doing is going to restaurants, like go shopping maybe, but it's around food. It's like, okay, well, what else do you have?
Well, but think about it. I want to watch a movie. What do I want to do while I'm watching the movie?
You're going
I
to
want
have
to eat
snacks.
a pint of ice cream.
Yes.
Or popcorn.
Or
butter drenched popcorn.
Don't really, popcorn's meh. I can live without
Interesting.
popcorn.
I feel like, isn't Brian like a huge
He
popcorn
loves
guy?
popcorn. Bring me chocolate all day long.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah. It's like
sugar's an
food
idol in my life, man.
Oh my gosh.
Sugar's my boyfriend.
Sugar's my-
I'm trying to dump him, but it's not working.
Wasn't as easy as the last one.
No, this is
Sugar,
harder.
that one, he's well done. I definitely have a problem with sugar, and I got a PC because I was thinking back to like
ministry.
Renew Ministry on
jargon
that
right, Jerra.
because I remember that I was like really broke. I was in college and my mom had called me and she stressed me out. Like it was so stressful. And it was like, am I going to get gas or am I going to get a candy bar? And I chose a candy bar. Like I bought a candy bar because I was just so stressed from the situation. And while I was renewing that and like feeling so much shame because I made that decision, I just saw all of my favorite sweets. And I saw Jesus standing like right there calling me. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to my sweets to meet my needs. These candy bars, like
Yikes.
and in my head, it was like they were giant, like my favorite candies.
Yeah.
And I went to them and I bowed down and it felt so icky.
Ugh,
And
yeah.
like, I have not just been randomly buying candy bars to eat because
Good
like
for you.
look at it, and it's like, oh, I'm coming, especially not in that kind of a heart space, like where I'm going to it to meet my needs instead of like processing my emotions, instead of looking at them, instead of working through them.
Right.
Like I'm not going to eat it in a candy bar.
Yeah.
It's just not as good
Well,
anymore.
Brian and I were talking about this recently. It's a cycle. Like, okay, I feel bad about myself because I've gained some weight because menopause. And so I feel bad about myself, so I eat the thing. And then I feel bad because I ate the thing. So then I feel bad about myself. So then I eat the thing. So then and it's just
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's fine to eat the thing, unless eating the thing is because you're trying to satisfy something in yourself that
God-
Jesus is
yes.
supposed to satisfy.
Yes.
Hey man, and caffeine. We can talk about caffeine too, or that's the same thing. I mean, I don't drink caffeine because it makes me nervous and not sleep, but I equate that the same as sugar.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are addicted to caffeine. And I think just whatever in your life that you think that's making a lot of decisions for you, like you don't have that thing as a problem. That thing,
nice without
that
it,
thing
and I
has
can't
you.
be-
Right. That
Yeah.
thing is
all
controlling
those coffee
you now.
mugs that are like, don't talk to me till I
Yeah,
have my coffee.
I mean, we can all laugh about it, ha 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 ha, but it's like,
You're normalizing addiction.
yeah, a little bit.
To kind of weave this back into something we talked about before too, when we were talking about like we have the body and the soul. Like I feel like addiction is something that's just like the biggest example of that. Is like, yes, you can moralize sugar and be like, it's there's these emotional issues with it and I'm trying to cope with these emotional issues. But then there's also the fact that it's just absolutely addictive to your body.
It's
And-
worse than cocaine.
yeah, and
Yeah.
your brain's pathway between seeing.
I haven't had sugar for a while because I try really hard, but I just fall off the wagon a lot. Once I have the one, it's so much easier to have
The second. Yeah.
the second and the third and the fourth and the 10th.
Yeah,
And before you know it, you've eaten a whole
The
thing.
entire bag of whatever.
Whatever it was.
a great example of that was a couple days ago. Elena is part of this play group with some other women in the church with like kids, and she had made some commitment to bring them donuts or something. And like the night before, she said like, I kind of feel convicted that I'm bringing donuts, and I believe the donuts are poison. But she still had me get up, get the donuts from Donutland in the morning. So
She can poison her friends.
I was with her on Halloween. We went to
Yeah,
Home
she had
Goods,
kind
and
of
she was having quite the dilemma that
She
day
had a
too. I don't
spiritual
feel like I
crisis
should
this
be
Halloween.
handing out candy. And she said, Joe said something about handing out fruit. I said, if you hand out fruit, you're gonna get egged. Just don't hand out anything.
Yeah, don't hand out
If you have a problem, just don't hand out anything.
Anyways, okay, sorry. When I got home from work that day, there was still some donuts left. But what they had done is they had cut the donuts up into like really small pieces.
Oh, yeah.
For like the kids, I guess.
Yeah.
But I looked at that and I just instantly told Elena, this is the worst thing that could have happened. Because it was like an hour later and all the donuts were
And
gone.
another one. And and then take another. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna have a little slice here. 20 minutes later, I'm just gonna have another little slice.
Yes. Yes. Those bite sizes will get you because you don't. Before you know, you've eaten the regular size.
I want to be the gal who can eat one Oreo.
Me too.
I just want to be able to eat one. Take one little. I want to eat one serving of ice cream, which is half a cup.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
Yep.
I remember I was pregnant with Gwen and I was eating Oreos because Brenda always has Oreos at her house. And I'm eating them and I have like 3 in my hands and I'm still holding the package and I'm putting them in my mouth and she's just looking at me like, what is going on? And I was like, oh, like I didn't even notice.
You don't even realize you're doing
I'm
it.
just gathering. She's like, are you like food insecure? What's going on here? Gathering up all these Oreos, stuffing them in my mouth. Didn't even
love
notice.
me a double stuff. It's good.
Oreo thins are great because they're
No,
thin.
they don't have enough stuff in there.
And then you think
I
you're
want
not
the
eating as
girth
much.
of the double stuff.
I don't really like Oreos that much, so I don't
Get out.
Aren't you so high and mighty?
What's your poison, Joe?
Yeah. Alcohol.
I mean donuts probably. I do enjoy alcohol. I don't enjoy sweet alcohol though.
Oh, okay.
That's
You have that.
kinda
I don't
right.
enjoy sweet drinks in general. For some reason, they really gross me out. Like pop and... I mean, I'll drink like juice if it's like not like a bunch of added sugar or something, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, I like my alcohol bitter,
Yeah.
dark beers.
Ugh.
Yeah. Sweets.
To try and provide a little bit more variety in this episode.
I'd like to say I'm not driving this conversation. It's a two-way.
That's true.
What are things that you are... actually, something that I did really want to get to, which we kind of skipped past, is your passion for interior design. So going into college, did you start as an interior design major in college? Mm-hmm. Okay, and going into college, what gave you an inkling that that's something you would enjoy?
It's not a big, fancy story. I went to college because that's what you did. Mm-hmm. In the 80s, it was you graduate from high school. Of course you're going to college. So I went to college. Well, you got to figure out what you're going to study in college. Well, my cousin was already at UNI, and she was studying interior design. Oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. So I studied interior design. I mean, I ended up liking it, obviously.
Yes.
But, yeah.
And so after graduating, did you start working professionally as an interior designer right away, or?
Yeah, I did an internship at a furniture store design studio in town, and I stayed there until Allie was born. Mm-hmm. But I was not a full-on interior designer. I was more of an assistant.
Okay. And so after that, did you do any more interior design work, or? Okay.
Just help friends.
It's just been a personal passion since.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I feel like pretty much every time I've came over to your house, something has
different.
changed.
But Allie feels that way too. Every time she comes over, she's like, this is not the same house.
What do you feel like it is about? Because a way that I've seen it, like, I think you guys are probably the people that I know who have, like, changed their house the most. What do you feel like it is about that excites you, or?
Well, first of all, I will say I've been told we're done. What was the question again?
Just what do you enjoy about that?
Well, I get bored quick, but also, like, I watch some interior design YouTube. I don't really watch HGTV that much anymore because it's not actual, like, let's decorate a room shows.
Yeah.
So I keep up with it a little bit. So then I get all excited that something needs to change.
So do you feel like it's an art form for you?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
That you can, like, express yourself.
Yeah,
in
it's
some
my
way?
creative outlet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you're done, like, you're not gonna be. We won't be done. Okay. Theoretically,
Brian,
if you're done.
I'm sorry. I know you're gonna watch this. I'm sure I'm gonna want to zhuzh up
You
a
can
room down
look
the
right
road.
into the camera.
Dear,
Well, I remember getting a tour of your house, and your guest room was amazing. Just perfect.
which one?
Oh, I don't even know. I think maybe the upstairs one. You were making
Okay.
changes at the time, but I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, like this is just immaculate.
Well, the whole basement's different now, so
oh
y'all
wow,
should come over and
yeah, check it out.
So, what is the key to having a beautiful house?
Well, it's nothing snooty. It's just fill it with stuff you love and what makes you feel comfortable and like makes it feel like home.
So, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Definitely.
Except we behold whatever the color of the year is from the big corporations. That's.
I do not have the color of the year in my house.
Not yet.
No.
Probably in a catalog or something.
Well, yeah, maybe.
How would you suggest people go about finding their style and like what they like without spending a lot of money?
Well, I tell people to go to Pinterest and start looking stuff up. Because then you can see, oh, yeah, I like the way that looks.
My husband hates me
from
going
there.
on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Because then I ask him to do a project, and he's like, well, it feels like a lot of pressure because you want it to look like Pinterest. And it's
And then
not
you
going to
go,
look like
shh.
Pinterest.
You stroke his arm and you go, shh, it's okay.
It's okay.
And then you get me to do it.
And then we pay Joseph to.
There you go.
Just a little plug if you need if you need your house to look like Pinterest, hit me
Call
up.
Joe.
You know, our dining room is one of the most
I haven't
beautiful
seen it
parts.
yet. I need to
You
come
guys should
I know.
definitely come over.
It looks like Pinterest.
It does look
I'm
really
excited.
good.
I
And
wanna see
So
it.
the thing I would want to ask.
When she panicked, Marco's me
Oh
and
my
says,
gosh,
we
like,
can't pick the paint
when
color.
you were doing the paint, yes, I did.
I think it's a very nice color.
It is. It is.
Good, I'm
It's
glad.
a, it's
it
a
was-
green.
And you
green.
told us because we were like panicking. I was panicking, and we were gonna go with these wild colors. And you said,
We're gonna
like,
hate
that's
that in
exciting
5
for
years.
now, but
Yeah.
you like are gonna be in this space. Like, you shouldn't do that, basically. And we stuck with the color, and we moved on. But I think the thing I'm struggling with now is like the details of the house, like because you have your furniture, and I want to get rid of all of the furniture I have, but I can't. And it's like the lamps and the pictures and the little things you have around your house that really ties it together. I feel like I don't have a lot of that, and I don't even know how to go about it without feeling like I'm wasting money on things. Because
yeah.
a lot of those are cosmetic things that you don't really need, but
And that's hard because,
because you are wasting money when you do that.
well, yes and no. Like, my mentality is I'm finally at a point where I feel like I have the energy to have people over. I just didn't feel that way for a long time, especially when I was working and now I'm retired. So we're gearing up to start having people over. And my thought is I want people to walk into my house and feel comfortable and feel relaxed and feel, and but not everybody, feels that way. That doesn't necessarily mean a lamp to somebody. Or, you know what I mean? But for me,
Probably means a lamp to my wife.
probably. So yeah, you kind of have to evaluate how much is too much, or is this excessive, or is this?
Well, and I don't even know,
You need
like-
lamps. You have to be able to see.
Well, we have the lamp you were getting rid of, and that did add some ambiance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We have that. But it's like, I don't know, the little things, I just don't know how to go about getting them, or like what it even is that is needed. Because I have curtains and I have a table
That's when
and
you
all
call
the things.
me and I come over
and you tell
and we talk about it.
tell me what all I need to get.
Plug for
if
Michelle's
you-
retirement
I'm also a
plan.
firm believer in learning how to make things yourself. Like, I love, and this is a weird little thing that someone might love to do, because I don't like to paint. I'm not a drawer. I'm not a painter. But I'll take a pot and I will paint that thing and make it look antiqued and have a really good time. So you can get creative. Spray paint is a wonderful invention. So You can do a lot of
Spray paint
things with secondhand stuff to make it look different
Yeah.
and not feel like you're breaking the bank.
Yeah.
So, a question that I feel like I always have about this, and I feel like men will always go towards one side and women always towards
Is
the
it
other
going to
side.
be why so many throw pillows?
No, no. Nothing that cheap. In some ways, I think there's people out there who feel like it doesn't matter what conditions I live in. I can live in a concrete room and everything's dead or whatever. And then other people feel like I need to live in a beautiful space. I need my space to be beautiful and comforting, and inviting and relaxing. And I think like one side can feel like, oh, that's vanity. Like, like it's just, I don't know, the word like carnal comes to mind of like just you're adorning the outside or whatever.
Yeah.
But then like I think of like the Japanese culture specifically and their gardens that they do where they like spend an insane amount of time making this incredibly peaceful space. And there just seems to be so much value in that to me. And when I think of like medieval cathedrals, like so much effort put into creating this beautiful space.
God their best. For me, I feel like in my house, my job is to make that home a livable place for my family, who is right now just my husband and the cat. For me, that's part of it, is making it beautiful. And also, I also equate it with like, I am somebody who like, when there's a lot of clutter, I get real stressed. I can't think. I can't function. I just cannot deal with clutter. And it's the same thing to me. Like I want it to be neat. I want it to be orderly. I want it to be beautiful. And that's because I want my home, which is where I spend most of my time, to be a place that I enjoy being in.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable in. And then when I have other people there, they are comfortable in it.
Well, some
And
of
that doesn't mean you have to have all the fancy stuff. To do
right.
that.
And
But-
that's God given to want to beautify the world. That's an
Yeah, I
attribute
mean, I
of
think God
that
gave
women,
me creativity.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
and-
like helping other people beautify their homes too. Like, I feel like that's a way I can, help other people.
You should start a YouTube channel.
Just I'm not YouTube material.
Nathan can. You're gonna be on YouTube.
I know.
This week. Did you know that? You are YouTube.
Well, yeah, there is a
material.
reason for this.
Nathan can help you start your YouTube channel. Anyways, he's great. Yeah, I think that's just really important. Of like, the beauty in a space can make it just so much easier to live, and like the clutter thing, like that is a big part of it. I feel like. On like the flip side, I a lot of times find myself just taking a step back and looking at our house, and like it's not a big house, it's not a fancy house. A lot of it's from the 70s, especially the carpet downstairs. But I just think about like, wow, this house protects me from so much. Like I would be dead if I didn't have a house like this. And it keeps the same temperature all year round, and
Not a lot of us can say that.
it keeps a livable temperature all year round. And it's so spacious compared to what like every single human being has ever lived in as far as a
Yeah.
home. And I'm just kind of like taken aback of like, wow, I really take this thing for granted, this house that I live in. And I feel like anyone in the United States of America can probably fall into that trap too of taking our houses for granted, especially if you live in if you live in the suburbs and whatnot. Like I don't know, it's a really amazing dwelling that I live in, all the things it does for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I even think about, as you know, I have a daughter who lives in New York City, and they live in not a very big place.
Yeah.
And they have a baby, and they don't have a lot. The baby sleeps in the same room as them, and they don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, like, it's like I'm so thankful that I live here where I can move.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of it maybe was a trend on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but I feel like I kind of am.
I'm not on TikTok, but I know
the TikTok things. But a depression den.
No.
So like people be depressed or very sad and they'll film themselves and their rooms will be like pits of like trash and stuff.
Well, that's why
everywhere.
they're depressed.
Well, that's the thing with like clutter. I feel like if your space is cluttered, then your mind gets cluttered. Or if your mind is cluttered, then that does come out in the way your space looks also.
Yeah.
So I think it affects your mental health. But I think like a problem right now with a lot of younger people. So like we'll look at your house and it's like super beautiful and very organized. But you're in such a different stage of life than I am. Like that's something I would not even really think about. Like all of my older friends, you know, who are more established, they have all these things, you know, all together, and you're not even thinking about like I'm a younger mom. Like I don't have as much resources.
Our house was used furniture until maybe, I don't know. We bought our first, besides like a mattress, we bought our first furniture when we moved back here from Waterloo. So it was right before Sam was born. And up until then, but everything else was used for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like hand-me-downs.
Well, I feel like a lot of us younger people
I still
now
have
don't
hand-me-down
even
furniture in my house that I've just slapped some paint on it and it looks different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, being whatever stage of life you're in, it does make a difference. I mean,
Yes.
when Sam moved out and we redid the kitchen and we got a new fridge, he comes back and he goes, "Now you get the big fridge?" I was like, "Now we can afford the big fridge because you don't live here anymore."
Because you laugh.
But it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
as you get older, hopefully, in theory, some of that changes because you don't have a bunch of kids at home. And
Yeah. And your house can
and you're
stay
just more
cleaner
established
and-
in life and
Yeah.
you're more, yeah.
Well, and if you're on Instagram and stuff and you're looking at all the white kitchens and the perfect and the big and then
that's
you're...
not real, though.
Well, but the thing is, a lot of people don't even think about that.
Right.
Whereas before, like the only people you compared yourself to, which comparison isn't good, but are the people that lived in the same place, usually doing the
Right.
same things as you, but now you can compare yourself to somebody that lives
Well, you know,
miles and miles away.
back when I used to watch HGTV, there was the House Hunters. And you'd have these people that were just graduating from college and they're going, "Okay, so then I want my house to be move-in ready and I want it to have 4 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms."
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, and you're like, whatever happened to the starter home?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I had a similar thought when we were
And it's
quickly
like,
you get
no,
snapped out of
you
that.
start here and then you go to here.
Yes.
And it's okay if you don't go up to here.
Well, and I feel like you really appreciate what you then get. So, like, we got a new door for, like, our side door because it was, like, snowing in our house.
Yeah.
But, like, if I started with a door that worked, I would not be so grateful for the one I have now.
Right.
Like, I am
Right.
so grateful
Right.
that we
and
have
it's not
these
like
things.
we don't, just to clarify for everyone out there, we do not live in a mansion.
Yeah, I feel like we're making it sound like
Our house is not a big fancy house. We've done a lot of putting the lipstick on the pig. So,
But yeah, I think when you start from the bottom or like where everybody else starts when you're
Yeah.
early 20s or whatever and you grow, you appreciate it more than you would if you always had that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. We can't all live in the Barbie dream house right away.
That's right. You got to earn the Barbie dream house.
Well, before we started this podcast episode, my mom told me to not get too chatty because she's watching Arthur.
Oh,
That's funny.
she's having a good time.
I'm sure she's having a great time. Anyways, but we should probably wrap this episode up. I think we're getting
All right.
about that time. Michelle, any encouragement or last thoughts that you want to leave the listeners with?
Oh, gosh. That's daunting. I don't know. I love you all.
Is there anything we didn't ask you that you wish we had?
No.
Okay.
Is there anything we asked you that you wish we hadn't?
Yeah, right.
No.
There we go.
You've accomplished something. So.
Joe, do you have a last thing that you really
No.
wanted to talk to Michelle about?
No, I think I got it all out. This is a great
Awesome.
conversation.
Yeah.
I do not feel anxious.
You know, I feel like something
Wonderful.
we kind of left out was your kids. So maybe we should actually try and
ask about your kids.
ask about your kids real quick.
I
That's
have
what
2
kids-
children.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have 4 children. 2 by birth, 2 by marriage. I'll put it that way.
And do you like them?
I have amazing. All 4 of them are amazing, but
Who's your favorite?
Yeah.
That's
oh
what
no, we're not gonna go there. Judah,
Judah's your favorite.
because we can't forget my grandson.
Oh yeah, that's just so exciting. How was that? Becoming a grandma? And...
It was amazing. I wish he lived closer, but
Yeah.
but I get to video chat him every once in a while. And
What do you really appreciate about each of your children? And you can include the in-laws.
the in-laws. Okay. Well, I'll go from oldest to youngest. So that starts with Daniel, because he's 6 weeks older than Allie. Daniel loves my daughter very well. If you would have put a sea of men in front of me and said, pick a husband for your daughter, I would have pointed at him. He loves Jesus, and he loves her. And I call him the Alley Whisperer. He's incredible. I appreciate that Allie she is not afraid to grow. And she's been through some hard stuff, and she's come out the other side, and she's just trying to work through some of those things, and she's done a good job of that, and she's been a great mom. And she's just fun. She's my friend. I mean, we're friends, and not a lot of people can say that about their kids.
Do you feel like you and Allie are similar, or?
In some ways, she's a lot like Brian in some ways too. But yeah,
I feel like
she's a good mix of the both of us.
Even through this conversation, I've noticed a lot of ways that you and Sam are similar.
You think?
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
thought of him as more like Brian, maybe.
No,
But
Sam's kind of the enigma of the family
Okay.
a little bit.
well, I'm like the super enigma in my family.
Yeah, he because people think he doesn't look like anybody, which he actually looks. He looks like my brother is who he looks like. But he is. He is a really nice guy. He is kind, and he is obviously incredibly talented. As is Daniel, as is Allie, as is Maria. And I've watched him grow and come out of some very difficult things. And to see where he was at 15 and where he now is at 25 has been mind-blowing. And I can only give God the credit for that.
Yeah, the first time I met Sam was at Walmart.
Did he have the Jesus hair, or was it before the Jesus
I
hair?
don't remember, but you guys
Okay.
were there, and I was I with Brenda? I don't know. I was talking to some, and she goes, "Oh, this is Jerra. She and Josh. Maybe it was 2020 around then, but she was saying like they're gonna get married or whatever."
Yeah.
And Sam goes, when Josh was growing up, he said he would only marry a woman that's a really good cook. So I bet your food tastes amazing. And I just felt so complimented. Like, I don't know who this guy is.
Well,
He's got the right words.
Food is one of Sam's love languages.
Really?
For
So
sure.
maybe
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what
If you
we
cook him
remembered.
food, he will love you forever. Or bring him food. And
But I just
he
really-
married someone who is exactly the same way. So yeah, he's just a cool guy. He puts me in awe sometimes when I'm being catty, and he'll go, well, blah blah blah, and I'll be like, my son's more mature than I am.
I'm sure he'd disagree with that. But.
Yes, he probably would. But and Maria is just I love her, and she loves our family. It's been fun having her come in because she can be harder to get to know and a hard nut to crack and all those things. And she fit in very well. And and she's just incredibly sweet, and she loves Sam, and I beg to differ. Arthur's cute. I'm not saying Arthur's not cute, but man,
Jude was very sweet
guy
too.
has
Getting
my
the
heart.
name, he's a very sweet guy, sweet old guy.
I said he's the cutest baby on the planet right now, but there might be more at some point, so I have to
Leave
I
that
have to
open.
preface it. I
Yeah.
have to put that in there.
Well, I think the way it works in our family is whoever is the newest baby is the cutest. And
Yeah.
is the favorite.
But I feel like that's actually been true. Like, I feel like when I saw Georgia, she was like, "Oh my goodness, this is my."
Wait, of course you say that because Arthur's newer than Gwen.
Yeah, but then like I saw Remy and it's like, wow, this is the cutest baby I've ever seen. And then Arthur. I mean, Gwen is cute too.
Whatever.
Gwen is cute. She is.
She's really cute.
something.
Cuter than Arthur.
Anyways,
Let's fight about it.
we should.
We already have.
We should wrap this up. Thank you everyone for listening, and
Vote on your favorite baby in the comments.
please feel free to engage Michelle in conversation. Is that true? Can people come up and talk to
Absolutely.
you? Okay.
Absolutely.
Come up and ask Michelle to come design your house.
Yes.
Anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.